Hi, this is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert, and welcome back to my podcast, Morning Mood. We are back with Jennifer Black. We're on episode 2 of talking about how we built the brokerage department at Amazon. So just to recap you, in episode 1, we talked about a little bit what was going on at Amazon at the time. We had just started importing. Amazon had not been importing until then. We were dealing with massive scale, massive amount of imports, very little infrastructure or process, and creating about 1 million new ASINs a day was the number at the time at Amazon. So massive scale. So Jennifer, welcome back.
Hi, thanks.
So today, episode 2, we're going to talk about what we actually ended up implementing. We talked a little bit, we gave an example of the scale we were dealing with. We talked about the books imports that we were doing and the innovative solution we came up for that. But let's talk a little bit about what else was going on, because books was just one of our issues, as you know. So, Jennifer, you joined and we were importing as much as anything as we could, right?
Yeah, we started with a little and then it went. We were like 40% growth year over year in imports.
Yes.
For the entire time that I was there.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we had a directive to reduce cost by 10% year over year. And we're like, okay, this is fun.
Let me recap that for you people out there who didn't catch that, because this was real and this is the hell that I lived for a while. We had 40% growth year over year, remember, which means we were handling more imports every single year. And we were supposed to be doing it with less every single year, which is not possible, which we finally convinced them. I think after I threatened to storm out the second time.
My badge is on the table.
That's it.
I'll die on this hill.
I'm not doing it. Like, it's not possible. Yeah. So we were dealing with massive scale. So go ahead. So that's what we were dealing with. You came on board. You had come from an importing background. But the thing about you that made you very unique, because we talked about this before, and only a few of us can do what you and I do, is that you were able to figure out how to do process. And make it a process. All right. So walk us through. So we got all these imports coming in. We're getting no notice. There's zero compliance within the organization. I very clearly remember that the merchants, the buyers, the category leaders, that's what we called them at Amazon. Sorry. Been through a lot of companies. They all have different names. Category leaders were like, this is not our job. We made a PO. And if the shit doesn't show up at the warehouse, it's your fault. And we were like, whoop. Absolutely not. You actually have some responsibility in here, and you own the relationship with the vendor. So there was a lot going on. We didn't have processes set up with the category leaders. We didn't have anything set up with accounting and legal. Like, it was crazy. So walk us through, Jennifer. What do we do?
So we're seeing all of these imports come in, right? And it's always like hair on fire. Like, it's here.
It was.
What are you going to do about it? And we're like,
the 7-day arrival notice was our like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We get an arrival notice and we're like, oh, this is the first we're hearing about it? Great. And some of the problem with like import and trade compliance and brokerage is it's not just a matter of classifying.
Oh, no.
Right? Like, you can do that. You just throw people at the problem. Today, you can just throw a program at it. Cool. But we had a problem with the way things were expanding. We had a problem with what we called OGAs.
Oh, yeah. But so
right? Other government
PGAs
agencies
today.
PGAs. I'm not going there.
So I call them OGAs.
OGA. Let's go.
Bingo.
Yeah. So we're seeing all of these things show up and we're like, what the heck is going on? Right. So we get a shipment of shoes in and it needs all of these CITES permits, which were never secured.
Nope.
They didn't exist.
Nope.
And you cannot import unless you have that.
Nope.
We have toothbrushes coming in, which are FDA compliant. You have an FDA, you have DVD players coming in at the time. Those need FCC.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have all these other government agencies that are participating.
Yeah.
And you're scrambling to find that stuff. So we were like, look, we have to get ahead of this.
Yeah.
This is not sustainable. Knowing that something is coming in at the time that it's here is not okay.
Yeah, we would have to go try to find all the documents because they weren't being transmitted through the broker. They were going to the accounting department. Like, every shipment was like, what the fuck?
And then they just started popping up more and more. And we're like, okay, this doesn't work.
Yeah. And I will also say at the time, we weren't getting a lot of support from the broker we had at the time. In fact, I remember having a very explicit conversation with them about missing documentation, and they were also our freight forwarder. And they were like, oh, well, our freight forwarder hasn't given us the documentation. And I was like, I swear to God, if you two can see each other, because I knew they were in the same office. And I was like, if you two can see each other, there will be blood on the walls. Yes. I'm getting in my car right now. I'm driving down there. And
I remember saying that too. Can you walk over there, please?
They're like, well, they haven't given it. I'm like, can you fucking see each other? Yeah. And when I threatened to get in the car is when they're like, okay, we'll call you right back. And then all of a sudden we had documents. But I was like, I will walk from one desk to the other if I have to. But so the broker was not really supporting us at the time. And they made it really difficult.
Well, Amazon was kind of small at that point, and so they were treating us that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Reflecting back on it now, they were like, that was a mistake.
Yeah, they are. We could have helped you build a big solution. Didn't happen. Okay. All right. So tell us what you did.
So what we ended up doing is getting all of these shipments in, right? So we started to understand who the vendors were, and then we started to understand who was responsible for the POs. And we were like, what is going on? And so instead of like going to the vendors and trying to figure it out like the backwards way, we went right to the category managers.
We did.
And we started pitching that we needed to be involved in this process at the time that you're thinking about cutting a PO. Like at the time you're thinking about new products coming in.
Please talk to us. Yes.
Please talk to us.
Yes.
And here's why. We're going to help vet all of this stuff. We're going to tell you what you need. Like if you're importing, toothbrushes, we're going to tell you need FCC. And we're going to guide you on how, FDA. And we're going to guide you on how that looks and what's required. And we're going to get all that set up for you at the front. And so we ended up building pretty strong relationships with a lot of our category managers and getting that process going so that we could be at the very front of it. Yes. And I think that level of visibility gave us the amount of time to implement the right processes, to pre-classify things, to get that stuff over to our brokers, to double check it, and then produce the right things that would lead to a seamless import entry. Yeah. And it was funny because once we started doing that, one of the goals that I had, I can't remember if you gave it to me or if I came up with it, but was to get our pre-clearance rate, our 5 days. So for an ocean imports, the most that you can pre-clear a shipment is 5 days before it gets to port. Yep. And so our 5-day pre-clearance rate needed to come up. It was like at 90%, and we wanted to get it up to, always 100.
100%.
I think you said that in a previous episode, like it's 100. And we ended up getting it to 99.98.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. That is close as you're gonna get with customs, like full stop. I mean, that's perfection as far as I consider, but 99.8 that's perfection. I want to talk about a little bit about this working with the category leaders, because this is important. And it's something I always run into when I work with other companies, and they're like, no, they won't do it. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, they will. And the way that we got them to get on board with this was that we were helping them. We're like, look, we want your freight to be in the FC as fast as possible. We want to keep your costs low. We want to do all this stuff for you. We want to do this perfectly, but we can't because we aren't getting X, Y, and Z. We don't have visibility. We don't know what's going on. You're not asking for this. You're not asking for that, blah, blah, blah. And I do remember that the category leaders tried to put it back on us, that, hey, you have to go talk to the vendor. You go get the documents. But we didn't own the relationship, remember? So it was like, they're not listening to us. They're like, who's this Jennifer chick emailing me? Yeah. But it was really around when we started talking to them about how this was going to improve for everybody, then they were on board with it. Like they were very supportive.
Yeah. And we made it lightweight and like sort of low effort for them to be like, hey, we just need the visibility. We'll do this, 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 and this. Yeah. As long as you involve us at this point in your process.
Right. And if you don't, and we get down to this other end where you didn't involve us, by the way, it's going to take a lot of time and money for us to undo it because we can't react that fast.
We can't react that fast. Well, and there were a couple of instances that we were able to point to as an example, being like, this is what happens when you don't.
We had to wait for documents. We got held up. It got a customs exam. Yeah, we did. We did hold those up pretty high and say, this is what happens when we don't do it the right way. Yeah. So great call. I just want to pause on that a little bit, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who run supply chain departments within an organization, and they get very little cooperation from other departments. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you walk in there with this, you have to, because I'm compliance and blah, 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 la, 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 instead of let's do this together and let me help you.
Yes. That was also the shift. And I think you and I learned that together, because in the industry at the time, I remember this, like you could walk into a meeting with the customs regs and just be like, and like, just, I mean, it's a huge book.
Yeah.
Right. And you could just plop it on the table and be like, this is what we're dealing with. Right.
Yeah.
Like, which is not very effective, because people are like, that's what you're here for.
We could, like, to your point, like in the industry, like people feared that, like customs they were going through modernization. There was a lot of visibility about the CT-PAT was big.
CT-PAT.
Everybody's can't. All right. Yeah. That's how important it was to me. There was CT-PAT, like everything customs was very big and visible. We were getting a lot of pushback. We were talking to the category leaders
to get them in the process. So we did get them in the process. Yes. We had a couple of those examples that were like, this is what happens when you don't, right? And then sort of appealing to for very little effort, you can benefit from this.
Yeah.
And we got a couple of key categories.
Oh, you hit me with the tomes. That's what it was. Sorry. Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah, you hit me with the tomes. So yes, at the time, customs was very big. It was in the news a lot. There was CT-PAT, there was ACE. It was kind of visible, and previously had been somewhat invisible. So yeah, go ahead.
There was another piece of this that was really interesting. So you and I were not just responsible for North America. It wasn't it wasn't just the US.
It was worldwide.
We at the same time had a customs audit going on in Germany.
Yeah, we did.
And I don't know how much people know about German customs, but let me just tell you, it's tough. Like they are rule followers.
Yes.
And so we were under audit there. And so from a strategic standpoint, we could be like, look, this is the problem. Like we have all of these tax, finance, and accounting guys like working their asses off to like get through. And I was in there too, like get through the customs audit in German, trying to work it out. And I was like, look, we can really avoid this.
Yeah.
If this is a thing that's completely avoidable. And if it comes down, because it's always under threat that you're going to get audited, you can get randomly audited. That's fine. But if it comes down, we got it all right here, ready to go.
We're ready to roll. What I was going to say about this earlier, before I lost my train of thought, was that you talk about the tomes, and I talked about in a previous podcast where I started at Amazon walking around with the regs, right? Because people were like, no, we have to do it. We have to do it. And I'm like, no, the regs say no, the regs say no. So here's the thing is that Jennifer and I are building the import compliance department worldwide. We're responsible for everything worldwide. And I want to say this, but it was not in an illegal way. Amazon gave zero shits about the regs. But not in any illegal way, okay? I'm not saying they did anything illegal. But no, literally, if we would go in and we'd be like, well, the regs say we can't do it, they'd be like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
We don't care what the regs say. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, just figure, well, then how are we going to do it? Like there was no, the regs said. It was not an acceptable answer ever. And that was a weird time then, because compliance was such a forefront in the industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were kind
of a couple of hard stops in there, though.
We did.
We partnered really closely with legal, tax, and finance.
Oh yeah.
And so when the four of us got together in a way that was like, we can't do that, then we really couldn't.
Yeah. Then we really did.
We were still responsible for figuring out a way.
Yeah. Even though it may be complicated and expensive and this, that, and the other, but we still had to figure out a way. Remember, we had to do that Harry Potter book, send that all over the world.
Harry Potter book on Carnet.
On Carnet. That's some old shit right there.
I know.
Fucking Carnet. I remember our answer was like, it's a fucking book. It's duty free. Like, just do an entry. Like,
it's It's a book that's worth like $3 million.
It was $5 million.
It was $5 million.
It was the handwritten Harry Potter book or whatever it was that Amazon bought at auction. Right. We were just like, it's free. Just import it.
Yeah.
The tax department was, no. We found out the super complicated way to do it in Carnet. Yeah. All right. So just to wrap up what Jennifer and I have been laughing about for the last 20 minutes. So our solution that we had to come up with, in our next episode, we're going to talk about how we actually implemented it, was a process that included us in the very beginning of the buying process. And before we actually got involved, before they even put a PO out, we wanted to know about it before they even made an order. I think we had if you recall correctly, we had a couple real hot messes of DDP shipments that were not DDP, but were DDP. But we did pay for DDP, but then we paid twice. But we still don't know. But we won the trust of the category leaders, and that we're not here to make it hard for you. I'm not trying to impose martial law. This is not my personal power trip. We are here trying to put a process in place that is going to save the company money, get the product in front of the customer faster, and help everybody succeed. And I think when we had that message across, things shifted pretty quick.
Yeah, we were on the same team. We had shared goals.
Yes.
I want to make this faster and easier for you.
Yeah, I don't want to make it harder. And I think that's when we got it through to them, because I think originally what they heard from us was they're shoving work on me. They're making me do stuff I shouldn't have to do. And we're like, no, that's not what we're doing at all. We're really trying to make this create less work for you. I would actually prefer not to speak to you, to be totally honest.
Let's not speak, actually.
Let's not speak.
Just give me the level of visibility that I need, and I will take care of it.
And exactly what we told them. And it worked beautifully. It did take a few months to get everybody on board. I do remember that.
Well, you had to go category by category. So you had Carrie, who understood it.
Carrie got it right away. She was amazing. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah, you had Alan. Remember Alan Stiglick? He's like a biggie mucky muck now in toys. And he was like, I'm in.
He got it right away. Shoes got it right away. Eva got it right away. But there were a few who were hard sells. And I do remember at one point negotiating who would be responsible for coloring Excel spreadsheets. I don't know if we may have not have been there, yet, but yeah, you may have come, or we created a solution pretty quick. But there was one point where we were passing around Excel spreadsheets on what we needed. And there was a big meeting about we needed the cells colored.
Oh my gosh. Did we?
No. The category teams were like, oh, I need you to put the ones that are important in green. I'm like, well, there's a date that it's due by. So how about if you just sort?
Yeah. Here you go.
They're like, no. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll sort it for you, but I'm not doing colors.
I'm not doing colors. I'll sort it by everything that's due this week, and I'll just color it all. There you go.
Yeah, but I'm not doing colors. Like, I'll sort it, and the one that's important is at the top, but that's so that you're gonna have to do your own colors. Yeah, I think there was even discussion about I was like, I don't care. I'm not doing colors. All right, so Jennifer and I are gonna be back in our next episode, and we're gonna talk about what we actually ended up implementing. And I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but that process, what we implemented, lived on for a very long time. All right, we're going to talk about it more in our next episode. Stay tuned and come back for more from me and Jennifer. Chat soon.